flows like water burning, with the hope of insight feathered. Books the colors of a bright elation stolen in the side of love. We're just children fighting our way around indecision. We are rather helpless. Take this forever.
Excellent. Welcome, friends, to another episode of IPN's Movie Night, the podcast where we share our love for movies, good and bad. I'm Alexander Pasillas, the co-host and creative director of In Pursuit of Nothing.
And I'm Carter Thomas. I'm the other co-host and head writer of In Pursuit of Nothing. You know that. You already know that.
I think we do. And then today we have a very special guest. I don't want to say she's a new member. She's been with us for a while, but she's one of the newest additions
I'm
to
new-ish.
IPN. Yeah. Don't talk. I haven't introduced you yet.
God, sorry.
She's an actress, a writer. She's just an all-around great person, great filmmaker. We have Jess Marie with us today.
Hello, it's me.
There you go. Now you know. After you've been introduced, that's when
you start talking.
happens.
Do you prefer to go by Jess or Jessica? Do you care?
I prefer Jess.
Oh, okay.
Jessica
Okay,
just
cool.
sounds like I'm always in trouble. Thanks, Mom.
That's true. Yeah. Okay.
Can't even say your whole name without trauma.
Oh yeah. Don't worry, I talk about it in therapy all the time. That's fine.
Yes. And we invited you on, and you brought us a wonderful movie. I say wonderful movie.
I don't.
Today.
Is that a sarcastic wonderful? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I want to know what kind of wonderful it is. So it's not sarcastic.
Yes. Well, okay. What did you bring for us today?
I brought a cinematic masterpiece, a cult following, if you will, of the great 1996 horror film Scream. Yay.
That was 1996. Yes, it was.
It was 1996.
You can tell by how Jamie Kennedy looks so young and fresh.
You tell everybody, like, you tell friggin' Rose
Drew
McGowan.
Barrymore.
Rose McGowan was on the screen for a good while, and I had to point that out to Lauren. I was like, that's Rose McGowan. She's like, holy shit, it is.
Oh, I didn't even know until I looked at some IMDb trivia. It's like Rose McGowan dyed her hair blonde to differentiate herself from Neve Campbell, and I was like, oh my god, that was Rose McGowan.
Yes, it is, and she is a star in this movie.
In life, however.
Yeah, she is.
That's not okay. It's okay. We don't have to go into that.
Why did you decide to bring Scream to us, Jess?
So the thing about Scream is, if you ask me what my favorite movie or movies are, I have like a certain way I point them out. And so like my all-time favorite is The Breakfast Club, but when it comes to horror and like that kind of whole like thriller genre, it's Scream. The first time I watched Scream, I think I was like in 6th grade, and my friends and I found it in her little like movie like DVD cabinet, and they had the full box set, and we're like, great, this looks scary, let's watch it, because that's what everyone does when they're a preteen and wanting to be cool.
Oh, not me. I was a wuss.
I relate to both of you.
I was a wuss, but I wasn't, because I wanted to be cool. And then I remember watching this, and it terrified me, but I loved it. I loved the thrill of being terrified. Oh God. So I've watched it a million times since then, and it's just one of my like go-tos. I have a Scream shirt. I'm gonna get a tattoo for it. Like I love this bad boy.
Is it gonna be of Jamie Kennedy's face after he eats that sunflower seed? Because it's great. That's a great face. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh.
Can we agree right now that Jamie Kennedy doesn't get enough credit as a person?
Yes.
Son of the Mask, underrated.
I will agree with you in that first part you said. You had me in the first half, I'm not going to lie.
And then you lost me.
So what is your, well, you kind of answered it, but like, yes, your history with that movie, obviously the first time you watched it, but like has this kind of sprung up any other love of horror? Like is
Oh yeah.
okay.
Like I want to be Nev Campbell. Like that's my goal in life.
Okay.
Like I want to be in the title of a scream queen.
Okay.
Like I want Jamie Lee Curtis to call me one day and say, "I'm proud of you," and then just hang up and that's it.
Well,
Like
I mean,
that.
I want that
what,
too,
but what if,
honestly.
yeah, but what if
Jamie
she,
Lee Curtis
yeah,
gave me a call
she could do that and just,
said,
just say
"I'm
I'm
proud
proud
of
of you.
you."
Like, I mean, heck, I'll try to.
How'd you get my number, Jamie?
I'll just know. I'll just know. But I like there's something like I don't like being scared, which is so funny, even though I love scary things. Like I am a firm believer in the paranormal. I like love talking about murder. I'm a weirdo, right?
Mhm.
But there's just something about, especially when it comes to a slasher film, that I just love so much that I want to do it. I want to be a part of that. Like when it comes to scary movies, I'm picking a slasher film before I'm picking like a paranormal
Like
activity
a
or
like a
whatever.
ghost
Yeah.
movie type of deal.
Yeah.
Those ones,
It's like a classic genre, pretty much.
yeah. Oh yeah.
That
Yeah.
And
and they look like so much fun to make.
there's
And that,
I want to do one so bad.
and that's what's kind of great about this movie, and that's actually kind of like your love for it kind of like is explained a little bit through this movie because like
Oh yeah.
I had seen Scream before, but I realized as I was watching it is that I had only seen like pieces, and I never like saw
Yeah.
the whole thing stretched out. So I knew it was like a commentary a little bit, not a little bit. It is a commentary on
Oh
horror
yeah.
films, and I didn't realize how actually like I thought it was a little more subtle. No, how like on the nose it actually is until I watched it this last time, and I think that's kind of there's a fine line that I think Wes Craven does with that, which because it almost exists in this area in between a horror and a comedy. So
Oh, it's and that's the thing, is it's labeled as a dark comedy, which I love.
which it's weird because like it's like I wouldn't classify it like that. I would still more classify it as a horror, but because it's like dissecting itself, I still like I can't have it lean that all the way there. It exists in this
Yeah.
area that like doesn't normally exist. And so like because it's like it's spoofing and also being a tribute to horror films. And I feel like your kind of love for that, love for this movie is like what the movie itself is doing. So I just thought I was like, that's kind of interesting. That's like you chose this movie and like you have this history with it. I can see that. So
And so I have some fun facts for you
yes,
guys.
Should we real quick kind of go into just if any of you haven't seen the movie, Jess, can you just kind of give a rundown
yeah,
of what the
Yeah.
movie
just like a
is
little bit
about?
of beats. Like it doesn't have to be like details or anything like that. Just for
Yes.
anyone that hasn't seen it.
So for you uneducated individuals, I'm so sorry, you guys are the worst.
Whoa.
I'm just kidding. For you people who have not seen it, really is like a classic slasher film in which these individuals in this town, teens and adults, really, and focuses more on one character, Sydney Prescott, and how her and her friends are kind of navigating this situation in which there is a um, killer, the ghost face killer, or a scream, if you will, that is murdering people in a pretty quick manner. Like this kind of blows up,
Mm-hmm.
and follows that whole storyline and figuring out who's doing it. I think one of my favorite parts about the entire thing is the underlying fact that a year before we learned Sydney's mom was murdered, and people think it might have something like tied in with that and that whole dynamic. Um, it's I have some facts about it. I want to give a little shout out to my friend Wikipedia and
He's like, so
I think everyone's friend.
everyone's
Wikipedia.
friend Wikipedia. It's a film that combines dark comedy and the whodunit mystery with the violence of a slasher genre, and it is a satirical film in which it really plays into a lot of cliches from very popular horror films like Halloween, Friday the 13th, and even Nightmare on Elm Street.
Real quick, I got to hold for sound. My cats are making so much fucking noise right now, so I got to put them in a quiet
Oh,
space.
shit.
I'll be right back.
no worries.
Sorry,
I need to note
AJ.
it. And I'm just noting it. Yeah, okay. That's actually fine because I need to adjust my
Insert
mic as
the elevator music. Elevator music.
well. How are you doing, by the way, Jess?
I'm,
You holding
for
in?
the most part, I'm holding it together. I'm definitely a little stir crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
same.
it's hard to be because I like as someone who has dealt with mental health their entire life. I would fall
Just
into
hit
these
show.
patterns where I would be, if I'm really depressed, I would lay in bed all day and watch TV and do this. And so I've had to do a really hard job of
Is he
making
gonna
sure
bother
I'm
you?
not doing that,
Right.
or else I'm gonna sink into that. So
Okay.
I haven't been like watching a ton of TV. I've binged some things a couple days, but I'm actually my mom paid for she got me an Easter gift, even though I don't really identify as Catholic anymore, but we're just not
That's
gonna tell her
fine.
that.
That's fine.
Um
Yeah.
Oh
uh
no! Hopefully she doesn't listen to this
she probably will,
podcast.
it's fine. I have my own faith. I have my own faith. I'll leave it at that. But she got me a master class membership.
Oh,
And so
that's awesome.
yeah. So I've been doing that. So right now I'm doing I think it's it was Aaron Sorkin's his is about screenwriting, so I'm doing that one.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm gonna hit up Natalie Portman and do a little bit of some acting after.
She has a master class. That's sweet.
Yeah, I know. So it's
You
really
should
cool.
do the Dead Mouse one.
Yeah.
That one I was like, honestly, just want to do that one just to
Know
just
how
to
to
see
make
what he
some
has to
beats.
say.
Wait,
Well,
who?
my cat is handled now.
Yep.
Dead Mouse.
Dead Mouse, the DJ.
Oh, sorry. I didn't.
Alex, don't even tell me you don't.
I didn't hear you say
Bop the
Dead Mouse. I'm
mouse.
sorry.
You have a listening problem today, huh?
No, I was adjusting my mic, so I was focused on that.
I'll probably watch Bob Iger's too, because why not?
Yeah.
We love him.
Ron Howard has one
We're
too
back.
that I want to check out. But yeah.
Steve Martin has one.
So
Yeah, Steve Martin's another one I'll probably look at.
Oh, fuck it. There's so many good ones that I would love to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones, but that's what I've been doing.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Well, if you want, are you good, Carter?
Yeah, my cat's in the room now, so
Oh, okay.
hopefully he behaves.
Okay, that's fine. All right.
It's
And
the second one I'm worried about.
And we are back in 3, 2, 1. All right. So sorry about that, everybody. Jess, where do we
Yes.
leave off? I'm sorry.
Fun facts.
I was
We were
sharing
on
some
fun
facts.
Oh, a fact, right.
So Scream, we love it. Scream was considered to be unique at its time, because it featured a lot of characters who were literally aware of real world horror films, and like we talked about, like they openly discuss them, and there's a lot of references and stuff made by them, and they talk about it. So it's just interesting to see them talk about these things, and then they happen to them.
Mhm.
The film earned $173 million. And
Oh, wow.
it was
I
the
didn't know
highest
that.
grossing slasher film until Halloween that came out in 2018.
What is actually really
So-
funny, I read a little
Whoa.
stat about that where the first week, like, it did complete garbage because
Well, because it came out right before Christmas.
yeah, it came out right before it came out in a time when I wrote it down, but it came out in a time where like during Christmas time, and they were trying to be intentional about it, where they wanted to release something for horror fans because during like Christmas time, there's not really any horror movies.
Yeah.
Now there is. Now people intentionally do that, but they wanted to do that, and like it made no money its first week and looked like it was gonna be a flop. But through word of mouth, like almost word of mouth alone, it became like a huge success.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah, which is
that was really
crazy.
cool.
Because at this point in Wes Craven's career, when he heard that, he's like, "Oh, great, another bomb."
Yeah,
to
exactly.
add onto my
Yeah,
roster.
literally, yeah. And but it did so well, and like I didn't realize how long it held that title until obviously the Halloween came out, because like that was just something that was so anticipated. It kind of makes sense, but for the fact that it held that title for as long as it did is something to
22
say
years.
about it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did not know.
I didn't know
That's
that either.
crazy.
Did you also know, this is my favorite fact, and I'm really excited about it, Ghostface Killer is based on a real life serial killer.
Did not.
Like
Yes.
the killer or like the mask?
The killer.
Okay, I was saying because I was like I read something where like the mask was just a random mask that they found in like location.
The mask was so they actually have a fact about that. The mask they found when they were searching for like locations to film, and Wes Craven was like obsessed with it.
Yeah,
but
they like
it was
had to
from
remake
Fun
it.
Home, so the company was Fun Home, and he was like, we don't want to go through the hassle of getting like rights to use this mask. So they kept trying to recreate it, and Wes Craven was just like, no, I'm not like it's not working, it's not it, it's not it. So he was able to convince them to seek
Oh,
out. Yeah, so
I
they
didn't know
eventually
that.
got the rights to it. There's only 2 scenes in which the mask is a little, it's not like super different, but it's different enough to like not be like copyright issues that they
Right.
when they
Mhm.
started filming that they used.
Hmm.
And then it was the scene with Henry Winkler, which we'll get into. And
Yeah, yeah.
then I think it was the opening scene. Those were the 2 scenes where the mask was the one that they made to like
Slightly
mimic it as
different.
much, but it's slightly different. And then they were able
Ye-
to get rights to the mask.
Oh, okay.
Smart
Interesting.
move on that company too, because they probably made
Oh,
millions
yeah.
Oh,
after
for
these movies
sure. They
came
probably
out.
still are making decent
Oh,
money.
that
Like my
yeah. I was
I had one.
Ghostface like for 3 years in a row in Halloween just because I was like, hey, I like this. I like this mask.
yeah, my friend was Ghostface and I was Casey Becker. I was Drew Barrymore.
Oh,
And so he
nice.
just followed me around the
Oh,
bar the
nice.
entire night.
Yeah.
Best like opening scene in a horror movie
Yeah,
too, just to kill
I was
off
gonna
Drew
say like
Barrymore
that.
right away.
So like the movie itself in general, I personally like. I was like a lot of the killings and the murders and stuff like that. I didn't think were like that scary. Like they were just like it was just some of them were kind of like fun and creative and things like that.
Hmm.
But that was the one where I was like, this is horrifying.
Yeah,
Like that. Like what
it's
a way
everyone's
to
worst
open it.
nightmare.
Yeah. Wait, what'd you say?
It's everyone's worst nightmare. You're home alone.
But like even just like the way that they were killed
Oh,
was
I
just
know.
like that is upsetting. And it's
Me.
supposed to be kind of like, like, oh, campy and stuff like that, but I was like, this isn't campy, this is horrifying. So
It's
shout out to Drew
yeah.
Barrymore, like holy shit. And Jiffy
Well,
Pop.
she was supposed to be Sidney Prescott at first.
Oh yeah, I what did she say? I actually wrote that down. She wanted to play Oh no, sorry, she was originally cast as Cindy, but insisted that she play Casey because then it would make the audience think anything could happen. And I'm like,
Well, yeah,
all right, okay,
it
Drew.
was smart. She was smart. Well, because she couldn't something with like time constraints and something with that, and but she still wanted to be a part of the project, and that's when she was very adamant about being in that opening
Yeah,
scene.
that comment though made it sound like being like, I'm so sweet and innocent. So if I die, then who knows? Like it's like, okay.
Well, I mean, at that
I know
time,
she,
that
she
was kind
was.
of her. Yeah.
But
She was sweet. I still love Drew
yeah.
Barrymore. Shout out Drew Barrymore if you're
The,
listening. I
I
love you.
Yeah, I hope she is. That scene though, also like it's all the tricks that they use in that scene, for as far as like camera and editing and stuff like that, are played out through like the entire scene, or sorry, the entire
Hmm.
movie. But what I made notes about was that like the cinematography alone is it's kind of interesting because it uses long takes and it uses long shots like that kind of like flow around that kind of do all the stuff, which is like
Yeah,
anytime something kind of flows and like moves around like quickly, it feels like you're being followed. So I thought that was like really cool. But just the fact that they're able to keep things interesting and intriguing without cutting away to things is like kind of a testament to like the writing and how just first off the caller, which I don't remember who did the voice, Roger Jackson,
yeah.
like is so good.
Oh, it's
He's
so
has
good.
such a good voice, and I heard that no one met Roger Jackson,
Nope.
like
They never
Drew
saw him. They
or
weren't. They
or
weren't.
Mm-mm.
yeah, or Nev. So it's like anytime they heard the voice, it would be like a shock to them, and so I thought that was
Mhm.
like a really really cool thing. But like also the editing too, which it's standard editing tricks, which is why I don't really. It's like a I shouldn't like be like, oh, like yeah, like that was a good job. It's like no, that's what you're supposed to do. But it's like it just works really well when you do like the intercutting between like something that's like a little mundane, but like that tells the story of like of tension. So like anytime she's on the phone and talking, and then it cuts back to like the Jiffy Pop getting bigger. I'm like, that
Oh
has
yeah,
like almost nothing to do with anything. It just adds to the well, I mean it does, but it just adds
because
to
it
like the
sets on fire or
yeah,
whatever.
it like adds to the tension of like there's there's more that's going on that you're not that you're not thinking about or you're not paying attention to. And so it
I almost
was
saw it too as I saw it as like like a symbolistic like idea of like this popcorn is representing how much this is about to just go to shit. Like
yeah.
by the end of it, it's on fire and she's dead. Like she's done for. And it was just an interesting dynamic of like it's almost like a timer
Yeah.
of this is
To
about it's
life.
getting worse and worse and worse and it's
Mm,
about to go down.
yeah, so like thinking about like those elements, those technical elements, those are those are all like throughout the whole movie, and I just think it works really well. So that's what I appreciate about it, is that it used its cuts and shot choices like to its fullest extent, and I thought that was really enjoyable.
It's also like I love the dialogue. Um, Kevin Williamson, who wrote it, like
Hmm.
the dialogue is so good. And this opening scene was actually inspired by his own like personal like feelings. So when he found, so basically what happened was the serial killer was the Gainesville Ripper. That's what the character is based on,
Hmm.
and the whole dynamic of like these quick murders, and it's causing like a whole like pandemic in like the area, and people are like curfews, and you have to like be in your house by a certain time and lock your doors and all that. He was watching a special, I think it was Barbara Walters, he was watching a special on the Gainesville Ripper, and the story freaked him out so much that it inspired him of the character. But while he was like watching that special, he was getting super paranoid to the point that he was walking around his house because he like heard a noise and was like searching through his
Right.
house and called a friend and was carrying a butcher knife around,
Oh my
checking his
God.
house because he was so paranoid, and that's what led to that, like that inspired that opening scene.
That's so
That's
wild, because
cool.
that's like the basis of the entire movie. Like,
Yeah,
Hmm.
oh, that's
he was just watching
that sucks.
something about a murderer. Like it really is. And so like that whole like the dialogue, I always like I remember thinking like thinking back to it, I always be like, oh, like it's so cheesy to be like, oh, like I'm outside like your door or this or this. But
Hmm.
when you hear it and you're watching it, I would literally like piss myself if someone called me and told me I want to know who I'm looking at. Like
Yeah.
it might sound cheesy, but oh my god.
No, but
No, yeah, no, that's terrifying.
it's a good segue. It's a good segue line where it's just like yeah, it's kind of creepy that this dude keeps like that's talking, but nothing like yeah, it's weird. I mean, now it is weird, but it's one of those things where that transition line is like what completely changes everything, and be like, oh, okay, it
Yeah.
was just it was just beautifully like delivered, and
Oh yeah.
just completely like unexpected and stuff like that. um so yes, it is campy, it's cheesy, of course, that's the whole point of the movie though,
I know, it's so good.
but it still does it still executes it like really well. So
Oh
just
yeah.
my thought.
And I also
Like that.
like so you brought up the whole like how some of like the murders you're like, okay, yeah, like this fun is great. Wes Craven had to like dull it down.
Oh, I'm
It
sure.
was like it was way worse,
Yeah.
and they didn't want to get they were trying to get it to where it was an R rating and not NC-17.
Which I
Mm,
still
So he
never
had to,
know what constitutes like how far you have to go to constitute an NC-17 rating. Like
I don't know, but apparently Wes
depends.
Craven was hitting it because they're like, yo, simmer, reel it in.
Clerks 1 got an NC-17 on its first run with the MPAA just for dialogue, so
what?
it could be
Really?
anything. Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
the MPA is fucking weird. Like sometimes I don't know. I
Um,
don't know.
Yeah, I can see how Wes Craven would want to go balls to the wall because he's, Wes Craven.
yeah.
He
Oh
had
yeah.
Johnny Depp get sucked up into a garbage disposal in his bed.
You know, the usual. Like
Yeah.
you do.
Okay. Uh, as far as like like where it goes in the story, um, what I appreciate, like obviously, like you keep going further and further along, and you, like the movie does this really good trick at like making you believe that like multiple people could be the killer, because like after a while they're like, oh,
Yeah.
they're trying to find the killer, and then trying to stalk it. And first you think it's Billy, Sydney's boyfriend, sorry, not girlfriend. um at first think it's him, but then like there's evidence that shows that he didn't do it, and then it starts becoming something. But the thing is, the entire time, because what's the actor's name? Ski Ulrich. Am I saying his name right?
Oh God, I love Skeet
Ski.
Ulrich.
He does
Oh,
such a good job at being like stoic and creepy. Like like the whole
he's
time.
so good.
There's the one part where he's out of prison, and he talks to Sydney, and he's like um I can't remember. He said like, "Oh, see, like it wasn't me. Remember, I was in prison." And he holds up his hand a little bit, and he still has ink marks on it. Like he just does it so weird, and I'm just like, dude, like
The,
you still make me think it's you.
the
And
one
it
that the
is.
one that
Like
killed me is the hug where he's like hugging her whenever like the initial interaction where Ghostface was there and he's like hugging her to like calm her down.
Yeah.
That like shot of him like, oh my god, his face is so freaky. I'm like, I don't want anyone to hug me ever again.
I mean, but it's also
I
like
feel
funny
yeah.
too.
But I feel like because they made him so creepy, it just makes it more obvious that like it is him. Because I mean, and I've seen this movie like a bunch of times, so obviously I already knew,
Yeah.
but I haven't seen it in like 7 or 8 years. So watching it again, I'm just like, oh, it's kind of
Oh, it's so
obvious.
obvious once you watch it. Like when I first watched it, I also was, like 13 or whatever. I
Hmm.
didn't know. I didn't have any
Uh-huh.
idea. But then now that I watch it, it's like they're basically telling you the plot as the plot is happening.
I mean, it
Yeah.
like it does that
Because I
throughout the entire
Like
movie.
this
So
is what's gonna happen. Just so you know, it's
yeah.
really is the boyfriend, but we're gonna make it seem like it's not the boyfriend, but it's the boyfriend. I'm like, oh my god,
And
I'm an idiot.
I saw Scary Movie before I saw Scream.
yeah, same.
So I already knew. I
Oh well,
kind of
that too.
already
Yeah,
figured where they were gonna take it,
this
but
movie was supposed to be
and
called Scary Movie, also.
I know I think that's so funny. But it's weird because I was watching it and I was getting like lines from Scary Movie confused with Scream, and so I'm just like, oh, this is where they're gonna say this, and then they say something different. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's in Scary Movie.
Isn't that the one where he was like, "What's up?" or whatever
Yeah.
on the phone?
Yeah,
No,
yeah. I didn't think that was gonna happen.
I kept thinking like I don't know why I had the because I even wrote in the beginning scene. I was like I just kept getting like Scary Movie. Like I kept thinking about it, and I was like I want to watch Scary Movie now. But I just thought about in the beginning when like he stabs because they mimic where he grabs her and stabs her like in the chest and something. But in
Yeah.
Scary Movie, he like pulls out her silicone implant. I just thought that was like I was like, "Oh yeah, that doesn't happen in this movie. Why would that happen?" Like that's Scary Movie.
God.
They just it's funny that Scary Movie like parodied this one cuz this is already like a parody kind
Like,
of.
yeah, it was a parody about a
Yeah,
parody.
that's
It was really just a great choice, honestly.
Yeah.
yeah. They were just full comedy with that one,
Yeah.
which is weird because that movie is pretty okay. That one
Yeah. Yeah,
was
I'm
pretty
sure there's
good.
some things that probably won't hold up today. Um like some jokes.
Oh yeah, no, there's like a whole Roofies joke in
Oh
that
yeah,
Yes.
movie, so
Like
definitely not gonna
like
hold
the
up.
entire Dewey character or Doofy.
Doofy,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
Oh, but can I just say that David Arquette in this movie,
right.
phenomenal.
did what? Sorry, what?
David, yeah. So Dave, that you brought that up because apparently, so their original thought for Dewey is they just wanted him to be a hunk, and
Yes, David
and
Arquette, the hunk.
well, that was the thing is they were like
Daddy
not. He
Arquette.
originally auditioned for Billy Loomis, and he like asked to read for Dewey as well. And Wes Craven was like, you know what, I really like his like more soft and funny approach to the character. And I just think a hunk would not have made sense for the character.
Yeah.
Like he
Well,
needed to be a little bit of that quirky, kind of like doofy, like whatever.
in order to be like kind of swayed by Gail, like
Yeah.
yeah,
Played by Courtney
Our
Cox.
queen
yes,
Courtney Cox with her bangs.
with her bangs.
As her
Oh
bangs
god.
get worse throughout the entire like all the movies. If you've
Series.
seen all the movies by the third movie, her bangs are just we don't want to talk about it.
But yeah, that's oh my god. I forgot that Courtney Cox was like in Scream, so like when I saw her, I forget like how good she is.
She's
Like
so
I just
good.
really liked her in this role. Like at first you're trying to think like, oh, she's a just gonna be like a douchey reporter or something like that. But I really liked that she became like a prominent member or a prominent
Oh yeah.
character. Um,
Yeah,
she plus her first
they
line is
humanized her a
her
bit.
first line is so funny when she talks to Kenny and Gail's just like, Jesus, the camera, hurry! And Kenny
My
goes, my
name's
name
not
isn't
Jesus.
Jesus. Like I mean, after she said that, I was just like I didn't know that line was coming. So after she said that, I was like, his name's probably not Jesus, and he goes, my name isn't Jesus. Like, see, of course, of course it was it. So it just played really well with it.
She like lobbied for the role. She wanted it because she wanted to play a bitch because she wanted to offset from the nice image she was getting from her character of Monica on Friends.
Yeah.
So she was like, yo, let me do it. I can do it. And she did it. I love her in it. She's
Yeah, she's
great.
really good, and she's a great like conflict with Sydney because
Mhm.
as we stated, like a year before the events in the movie, Sydney's mom was like brutally murdered, and they kind of talk about how the killer Cotton Weary is like on trial, and
Hmm.
Sydney testified against him, but Gail like thinks he's innocent and like wrote a whole book about it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so Sydney is like
That dynamic's so interesting. I think it was so well written
Yeah,
for that like
because
conflict.
at first I was just like, fuck you. Like what, like who the fuck are you? Like at first you think like, well, you think that she's being a reporter and she's like trying to make a story. And so then you
Hmm.
feel for Sid, but then Sid starts being like, yeah, I don't know, maybe she is right. And then she turns out to be right. And then it's kind of one of those like, oh shit, like I wasn't even thinking about like the whole picture or anything like that. Like I don't know, it was a good little twist that that the character was able to make and kind of tie in like the story. It wasn't
yeah.
just like
Yeah.
little things like character developments. It's like it tied things together, and I just thought that was a really good characters and good writing and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then I think it adds to the terror when we find out that Billy and Stu, like not only like and because Sydney's mom was raped and killed, and
Hmm.
so like Stu and Billy like did
Did that.
like both did those things, and it it really adds to the to like just how terrifying they are.
Yeah,
But then Stu kind of ruins it by being so over the
by
top.
being Stu, by
Matthew being
by being
Matthew.
Matthew Lillard. Let's be honest.
Oh my god. But he is so like he just is
He's so
so
good.
funny. He goes freaking nuts. Like there's oh my god. He's so
And then when he
funny.
finds out he's like getting in trouble, like that's also
I
hilarious.
love it where she's like, "What's your motive?" And he's like, "Peer pressure." Like
I'm
he's
far
just
too sensitive.
I honestly, I think it is really funny when he's like asking Sid, it's like Sid, it's like, did you really call the cops? He's like, yeah, of course I
And
did.
she's like,
Like,
yeah,
oh, my mom and dad are gonna be
Mom,
so pissed or so mad at me. It's just,
they're gonna
yeah.
be so
He's
mad
like,
at
yeah,
me.
literally, like you killed a bunch of
I
people.
know.
Yeah, dude. Like it
And
takes this
that's your
like really
concern.
bad thing and makes it seem like oh my god, my parents are gonna find out I've been drinking. Like it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just, oh no, my parents are gonna find out I killed somebody.
Several people
God,
so, so I just thought, yeah,
and planned this whole fucking scheme.
so
it's
funny.
great performances by everybody. Like it's like things again, like I said, things are campy, but like some things were, but people like played the part really well to
Hmm.
kind of blur those lines between like campy and like oh like serious like acting or like good characters and stuff like that.
Murder's happening here. Like this is not
Yeah,
a.
yeah, I thought
I
that was
like. I think like. Well, so what's so funny too about on the topic of Matthew, um, he was just at the location with his girlfriend at the time, and she was auditioning for something. Like he wasn't there for it. And then he got asked, like, "Do you want to?" Like the casting director, like, saw him. And was like, "Hey, do you want to
that wasn't like his
audition for
first
this?"
role, was it?
I don't think so. I think it might have maybe she
No,
like
he had gotten
recognized
like
him.
some
Oh,
he'd gotten some like bit parts
Yeah,
here
oh,
and
got it.
there.
and I think she was just like, "Hey, like, come audition for this," and he just nailed it. Which I
Yeah.
love that. Like going into a film like that, and not having any kind of like preparation for it, knowing you
That's
have to be
talent,
kind of a
yeah.
crazy person, and like sticking the landing.
Yeah.
Matthew, we love
And
you.
then he plays
Hmm.
and then he went on to play Shaggy.
Thank God.
Thank God.
I
Um
know.
what was it? It, it's
Real quick, if I can go back
yes.
to the dialogue part of it, because I think that was probably my biggest. So there were a lot of like things that just really annoyed me about the movie, which is mainly just like how the kids act in it, like how, because
Mhm.
like when they're all hanging out by the fountain and talking about like the murder and stuff, and Sydney is clearly upset because it's reminiscent of everything that happened a year before, and she just has like the worst friends because they keep talking about it. And it's just like read, it's like read the fucking room, you guys. Like it made me so mad. And then those the kid, and then like the girls in the bathroom like talking all that shit, but that's different because they didn't know she was there.
But they're
But
teenagers.
that one didn't piss me off as much as at the fountain. But then everyone's just like, when they find out that, spoiler, Henry Winkler, their principal, dies, everyone's like, fuck yeah, woo. and I'm just like what the fuck is wrong? No wonder like there's two psycho kids killing people out here. You're all so happy.
I think I wrote something about that. That was like, that
It was
like,
funny.
School's out, school's out, school. And I'm just like, guys, come on. This is a little too ridiculous.
yeah, he like Randy gets a call that they found Principal Hembry dead, and everyone gets excited. Like, it's like,
Yeah, because he's like, oh, they're hanging, like he was hung in the football field, and they're like, oh, let's all go to the football
before they
field.
take him down. It's just
Yahoo!
like, what? Like, you
What?
kids are bored. Holy shit!
I think I wrote down that
Like,
that
no wonder why the video store guy is like the most popular guy at this party. Like, God, because you guys don't do shit. Like,
except they love murder. I don't know. They're my
Yeah.
kind of people. It's fine, but no, I think
I think there's a difference between loving murder and just wanting to see dead people. Like
Fair.
Jess, would you, if you found out that like someone you knew was like gutted on a football field, would your first thought be, "Oh, better go check it out before"?
because I love
No,
murder.
because that's psychotic. Because I
No.
love murder.
No, 'cause
Because
this
want to
is-
know who said that? Stu and Billy. And
Oh my god.
Everyone's a
so
suspect.
those were some aspects that just frustrated me as a viewer. Just like what the fuck, you guys? Like this isn't cool. Like okay, be happy that you don't have to go to school and stuff. And when you find out your principal's dead, you shouldn't just rush over there to see him. It's just that's weird. I'm gonna, controversial opinion. That's weird.
I mean, I grew up in rural southern Illinois where there wasn't much to do. So when I was viewing that, I was like, there's probably people that I go to school with who would be as hyped about that and, and go and see our dead principal.
But like, would they?
I
Do you
hope you
think they
don't-
would
I hope you don't talk to
cheer?
those people.
Like,
I don't think they would cheer, but I think they'd be like, "Yo, let's check it out."
because I'll be
Yeah.
honest. I've heard like
Cornfield,
I've heard
cornfield.
a car crash like outside of my house, and I've been like, I want to go see what happened. Like, I want to go check
don't
that shit
judge.
out.
Oh
But
no! When
Yeah,
when I'm driving
car
and I see an
crashes-
accident, I'm kind of like, "Oh, like, gotta keep driving." But like, what happened?
Yeah, I want to know what happened. Everyone know
I
what?
agree with that, but a car crash is different than a homicide
I
slash
know,
display
I know.
with intestines hanging
okay,
out. And
okay.
also, that's the Fonz. Like, that's not cool.
Which, by the way, apparently, did you know that when he opened his closet in his when he was being followed or something like that, he was suspicious. When he opened it up, apparently his Fonz jacket was in there.
I read
No
that. And I'm
way.
like,
Yeah,
I've
Yeah,
never
it
noticed
is.
that. I
it's
love
not really
that.
like upfront. But...
I very much sympathize with Henry Winkler
Oh, same.
because when those kids like ran in with a ghost face and he expelled them immediately, I'm like, yeah, good. And the kid's like,
same.
that's not fair. It was just a joke, Fonzie. And he's just like, and he's like, no, you're expelled. Get the fuck out of here. Like, I would do that.
yeah,
Oh, no,
I was like,
same.
good.
I would do.
I
and,
also
and apparently, actually, it's funny because there's a little bit of context to that. So like the reason why he like bans there was a scene that was there that was cut out, which apparently was after the bathroom attack. There was a scene in the script where Sydney bursts into his office and reports the incident, and then she's like crying for help. And even though it was like cut out of the final cut, it explains why Hembry like actually suspends the school
Yeah.
because he's just like, oh, okay, there's actually like a killer in here. It's not just like, oh, it's getting a little hot and it's like suspicious. There
Oh,
is
okay.
specifically a scene where the killer was in the
A
school,
reason. Oh,
or sorry, she
oh, I
reports
didn't know
it,
that.
but
Yeah.
I was like, see, like,
Yeah,
Because
I
it
feel like
goes unacknowledged kind of, and you kind of think like, are we not going to talk about it?
I know,
yeah,
yeah,
when she
totally.
and like in the bathroom, because I thought maybe Sydney was just like like is this? I feel like she was afraid that people were gonna talk more shit because once she's out of the bathroom, like that's kind of the safe zone. So I feel like she was just like, fuck it. I don't know, but I
Like,
did
let's
feel
not
like
talk
that
about
there.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I did feel like there was a deleted scene that introduced Henry Winkler a little more because then he does just kind of like show up
yeah,
in a context that does make sense, but there wasn't like an introduction, so if I it makes sense.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think you don't really. I guess they didn't need that scene for like everything to be suspended because even
Mm-mm.
without it, I'm like, oh, like that makes
Oh
sense.
yeah,
Like there's a lot of
it
Oh
shit
yeah, it
going
makes
does,
total
on.
sense.
but it's nice to know that if that was in like the final cut, or even that that's in the script, like Principal Henry like is on her side about it and actually trying to like help. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean helping
Uh huh.
everybody, but it's like he's not like not believing her, you know. So
Well,
it's
and it
just
makes
like,
a lot of
Hmm.
sense because um, that's what happened in real life. Is whenever the Gainesville Ripper was killing, um, people were like buying extra locks, like, doing sleeping shifts with their like people in the household, and the University of Florida, where like because that's where Gainesville is where that's at.
mhm,
They shut down school for a week
wow,
because of all the murders going on, like how quickly and rapid they were. So it's kind of mimicking that, like that's where that came
Uh
from.
huh.
yeah, and
But
that
like
makes
even
sense.
like it makes sense like with that, but it also just that was a real life situation and that was happening. And that's what they did. So it makes sense for in the movie for them to kind of be like, yo, shut it down. Don't we can't be having people going to school being out
Yeah,
past a certain time
yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
maybe mask it or whatever.
Thought that was just like kind of a neat little tidbit though about and kind of makes his character seem a little nicer, even though he was kind of giving off killer vibes a little bit,
Oh yeah.
wearing the
When
mask
he's
in
putting
his office and
the
all that stuff.
scissor.
I will say one of my favorite way in which Ghostface reveals himself is that murder.
He's just
No,
behind the door.
he's
Oh
behind the door,
yeah,
but how his like arms are like up, like to cloak him, and then he just like,
yeah,
and he
It's like
just comes
"Wah."
out. I just think it's the funniest thing. Like,
yeah.
why? Like, why did you have to do that?
Also, that's
And then
oh,
before,
sorry, what?
oh, go ahead. Because I was gonna say when Henry Winkler's like looking around, someone's knocking on his door, and then you see the
I was
janitor
about to say
dressed
that.
in the
Freddy
Freddy
Krueger,
Krueger
yeah.
sweater. It's just like, oh, Wes Craven made this movie. Remember
Wasn't
those other
that?
ones?
Wait, hold on. Wasn't that Wes Craven?
Was that Wes
Yeah,
Craven?
I'm pretty sure
Nightmare on Elm Street?
I thought.
Wes Craven.
Oh, I thought that guy was way too sickly looking to be
I don't
Wes
know.
Wes
Craven.
Craven looks sickly looking. And also, he probably has like makeup and shit. Yeah, Wes
We're gonna
Craven is
see.
Fred the
Also,
janitor,
That's
uncredited.
amazing.
rest in peace, Wes.
Yeah,
Sorry, I called you sickly.
I mean,
Yeah,
he
we love
was,
Wes Craven.
but yeah, he's
That's so wow.
it was a good cameo, and it was like I
It's
remember
smart.
reading about that cameo or like seeing that frame or something like that, and I was like, oh yeah, that's this movie. So that's pretty good.
So I have to ask
Yes.
what our thoughts are on like kind of like the lead up to the final act at
Uh
the
huh.
house where you get the random shots of like the scream like the Ghostface killer kind of like making mini cameos following Sydney around. So they're like in the supermarket and you see him in the reflection and like
I
when
didn't
he's
notice him
in
in
the
the
but
reflection.
oh my god, did you
What?
not
Yeah,
see
that
that?
was a.
Yeah, so like well
You didn't
there's the
see?
one where he's in the bushes
Yeah, that
which
one was
is ridiculous and like no one's
hilarious.
going to talk about like just running through the bushes, but when they're in the supermarket to pick up stuff for the party they like shut the door to like the freezer door or whatever and you see
He was
him
there.
in it in
Oh
the background.
shit! I didn't notice
Yeah,
that. And
I
and
know.
I
and what's
think.
funny about that scene, I remember like watching. I was like, what was the point of that scene? Because they weren't really talking. I mean, they were kind of talking about things like in context. They were just talking about like Billy a little bit, but
Yeah,
About the
I was just like, what's the
Sims.
point of this scene? And then like now that I know that that's in there, that's like, oh okay, that I understand.
There's a point, but there's not a point because I'm like, is anyone who's not seeing this random person
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my thing. So
running?
I always thought it was just like kind of in. I just thought it was kind of like in her head because
See,
she's thinking about a lot right now.
maybe I
Mhm.
think that, but she doesn't ever acknowledge it. Like if it was in her head and she acknowledged it, then maybe. But like she never, like, there's never any like moment where she's like, like, did I just see him? It's just like
Yeah.
she's doing her thing, and then all of a sudden he's running through the bushes and he's
Yeah.
creeping in the
Mhm.
supermarket in the apples and the pears or whatever. Like it just
Yeah.
doesn't make. It just always made me be like, why? Like why?
Yeah.
Like why?
I kind of I kind of attributed that to because like when she meets up with Billy at school after he gets out of jail and he like gaslights her about her like entire experience with this whole thing. I think she's just trying to like ignore it
Yeah.
and think that it's in her head because she's really just focused on whether or not she should wants to or should have sex with Billy because that's like a thing in the movie.
Oh yeah. Very
And he's just
underlying
like,
thing.
yeah, because he's like, after your mom was murdered, like you don't even like want to have sex anymore, and it's like, well, duh, fucking, well, and it makes sense because he's the killer and whatever, but and then he's just like my mom left, like I got over it.
I'm like, yeah, your mom left. She wasn't murdered. Like that part always killed me. I'm like, oh my god, you cannot compare your situations.
Yeah, and it
Exactly,
it
I'm
does
just
make
like,
it a little
"Ugh,
bit
you
more
piece of
like
shit."
more not obvious, but it's like almost you're like, I want you to be the killer because then you being an
Just so I
asshole would
can
make
hate you.
sense, you know,
You're
like
being
Yeah,
the worst right
yeah.
now.
definitely.
You're literally being the worst.
Yeah, so it kind of works out that he is because it's like, oh, it makes sense. You're an asshole.
Oh yeah, you're a douchebag. Wow.
And then yeah. Yeah. And then there's a oh, sorry, I'm going through my notes and I read the part where I'm like where Dewey like goes to the sheriff. This is like before the party, which is like Dewey
Mhm.
goes to the sheriff. It's like the sheriff smokes and Dewey eats an ice cream. Like he eats it like all seriously trying to look cool, and it just made me think like I now know why they made Doofy in Scary Movie. Like
You're like, this all makes sense now.
he's just a dweeb. Like
That's why I love him.
no, I know. I love him too. And I'm so glad that he didn't turn out to be the killer because I was just like I was taking that whole like everyone's a suspect thing like pretty clearly pretty like literally. I was just like, okay, if this person was a killer, how would it lead up? Because again, there was that moment where um uh he's at Sydney's at Rose's house. Rose's house. Tatum's house, Rose McGowan. See, I ever
So
forgot her
Rose
fucking
McGowan.
name. Rose McGowan's house, and gets the call, and then Dewey doesn't come out of his room.
Oh, that part kills me.
Until oh yeah, but he doesn't come out of his room until he officially hangs up. So I'm like, oh, like things are lining up to where
Mhm.
this person could be the killer, this person could be the killer, until the end where it's just like, okay, there was clearly the killer, and then Dewey was outside. I was like, okay, well then that's not adding up. But like when I saw him eat, when I saw him eating the ice cream, I'm like, this motherfucker could be the killer. Like
Like,
it
the
hit
ice
me.
cream was suspicious for you.
The ice
Not
cream
the ice
because
cream.
because every person it was kind of pointing at, it was kind of like, oh, this could be a suspect, everyone could be a suspect, and I saw him like, what's his fucking angle? He seems to be just good at everything. He seems to be just nice and just really caring. I don't
Well,
believe
he gets
him.
no
It's
respect.
always the nice one.
It made me paranoid. I was just like, oh, wouldn't that be a surprise if Dewey was the thing? Like, I don't know. I didn't
I
like
think
the way
Dewey
he ate
was
that
the
ice cream.
only one I never thought was the killer.
But isn't that what the movie's trying to do? Don't you think? I don't know why
Well,
I don't know why I'm
it
like getting
didn't, though.
conspiracy about it. Like I know who
About
the
a movie
killer
that's been out for
was.
24
Yeah, like
years.
the movie happened. It's not him. I can just
When we remake it, we'll make sure we
make sure to add
I'm
that.
add these
just
little
saying
hints.
that would be the biggest surprise.
They should re-edit the movie and do some
Yeah.
reshoots. David Arquette probably doesn't look that much different.
Yeah, bring him back. I think he looks great for it.
If we can make Will Smith look young in Gemini Man, I think we can make David Arquette look young in Scream the re-edit.
The re-edit. The
Let's do
re-edit
it.
of bring them all
Um,
back. Let's just see the magic we can make with it.
I do also want to point out, like, I think this was one of the it's more ridiculous deaths, and I think everyone else would say, but Tatum's death was probably the best was
Here's the thing.
goat.
Yeah.
What?
It had to happen. You know? I remember being mad as a kid. I was mad, but I didn't understand filmmaking or like plot lines.
Oh
or
yeah, yeah,
anything.
yeah.
It had to happen. She was like on Sydney's hip, like so. I feel like that one might have been like a last minute decision by the two of them
In order to like to
to get Sydney alone. It's like, you know what,
yeah,
we gotta axe her. That one, and but the death itself, I'm like, that is like,
it's funny. It's really
it's
funny.
like so ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's another instance where I got this movie and Scary Movie
Me
confused 'cause I'm
too.
like, oh yeah,
Me
she's gonna
too.
go through and then it's gonna fall and it's gonna kill her, and I'm just like, oh, that happens in Scary Movie because they were making a fat joke.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha
But
ha ha.
what
Oh,
I
that's
so this
right.
is when I watched this scene, I actually had like a really interesting kind of mm, thought about the movie was that like I didn't necessarily think that you know how, like there's the stereotype of like the kids are dumb
Yeah.
in slasher movies and they make stupid decisions. I don't actually think anybody in this movie made a dumb decision. I think they
No.
did what they thought was right at the time and what they tried to do in like a panic moment.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
saw that in this scene.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's ridiculous that she would go
Yeah.
through the doggy door, but she literally had no other escape. And
That's
it's kind of
the only option.
exactly. And it's kind of one of those things. It's like I made a note where I was just like, everyone. This movie does a good job at showing that these kids aren't necessarily dumb. They're just victims in the film genre that they exist in. So that's how I got. I
Yeah.
saw that as just like, no, it just sucks because this movie wants to kill them, but they're actually not very stupid.
No,
So
they're not. They're doing
put in
the
these
best
most
that they can.
ridiculous situations, and like it ends up just backfiring on them. So I had that thought. I was like, this movie's really like kind of playing with like with that
Yeah.
genre and doing things a little bit different while also doing the same thing. So
Yeah, it's one
Yeah.
of those movies that I never like. I can watch other like scary movies and thrillers, and you yell like oh, don't go in the house or don't go do this. This is one where I was like, shit, man, I would have done the same thing. Like
Yeah.
that was your best option, and it just the cards were not there for you. The
yeah.
odds were not in your favor.
Yeah. So I just thought that
Yeah,
was
it was
good.
good that people were. Oh, sorry.
No. That was all I was saying.
I was gonna say it's good that people are like able to defend themselves against the killer, and he actually, like, whether it's Billy or Stu in whichever scene, like it's good, or both of them. That's probably how, but it's good that like they were able to like hurt them,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because
Mhm.
like Tatum throws like the beer bottles and like does the shit with the fridge and stuff, and I forgot who else. I think uh, Drew Barrymore does something in the beginning of the movie to like slow him
Well,
down.
she arms herself. Like she's not like
Mhm.
she's does the smart thing. At least like tries to arm herself. But like yeah, she ends up getting like attacked by him. Like he ends up just like surprising her. But
Yeah,
even
because he like sees.
yeah, but even Sid earlier on, like well she kind of got like
I
really attacked. But she wasn't dumb, and she just kind of like she figured things out kind of quickly and stuff. Oh no, it
my
was when she was
favorite
in
thing.
the bedroom. Sorry,
Yeah,
it was when she was in the bedroom and she couldn't call 911 because she cut the lines and immediately jumped to her computer and tried to talk to them through the computer. I was like, holy shit, this girl's like on
she
top of
thought
it.
about that so
Yeah,
quick.
and
I
so
do love the fact that she's on the phone and she's making fun of like stereotypes of like why like she's like it's insulting that these girls literally will run up the stairs when they should be running out the front door.
right,
And then she set herself in
And
that
then
situation where she could not run out the front door because it was locked
yeah,
and had to run upstairs. But yet she was still able to be like, all right, I'm making a smart decision here.
exactly. Like, and so that's when I saw. I was like, oh no, shit, Sid's like a smart like three-dimensional character and stuff like that, and it's kind of nice that like she when she had the phone call how different it was between her and Casey, and just like what kind of character she was in comparison to where like she's been through this shit before, or she's
a little more on
yeah,
edge.
she's exactly
Yeah.
she's a little more on edge, and it's just like, okay, I like that the phone conversation like goes different. You can feel that like she's a more hardened person, I guess.
She's been through it.
Yeah,
She's
so
got a little bit of trauma on her side to help her get through some shit, which, we all need in our lives.
yeah.
And I think it was a good way of kind of introducing this dynamic of okay, this isn't like the same girl. This isn't your sweet innocent or helpless victim. Like she's not here to mess around.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that like just like the way that the dialogue really is just so good at kind of like giving away that she's gonna be fine, like nothing's gonna like happen to her or
Right.
nothing bad's gonna happen, but it was just a little more almost like lighthearted in a sense, even though it wasn't lighthearted, but
Mm-hmm.
it was well done.
Yeah, yeah. So like this
Yeah.
movie was pretty good. I thought. Well, we're kind of
It's
what?
pretty good.
It's pretty. It
It
was
was
pretty
very
good. Though it
good.
was pretty
Pretty
good.
good.
You know, I'm just it was pretty good. So we're at the 55, almost at the 1 hour mark. We should probably wrap it up a little bit. But is there any like last minute thing? I know you said you had like a lot of fun fact or trivia stuff that.
So a couple things. The let's see. The as it comes to like special effects, they use 50 gallons of blood
Oh.
composed of corn syrup and food dye, which they reference that in
Just
the
like they
movie.
used in the movies.
Um,
And that's another line I thought, because in Scary Movie, he's like, ketchup, just like what Mama puts on our spaghetti.
Oh God, I need to watch Scary Movie again.
I do too.
I
but
remember
oh
the
my
second one
God.
and third one more. I haven't seen the first one in so long.
Oh my
Same
God.
here.
The most complex special effects are the ones used at the beginning, like opening scene with Casey and Steve.
Mhm.
The guy that was Steve was actually on his knees, and it was just his head. The torso was a hollowed out body that they made.
Oh,
So
nice.
he's on his knees in the background, and then
I was
the
actually I was wondering about that when I saw that. I was like, "Fuck, how they?" Like I always wonder about
Interesting
that.
method.
that way he could move. So when they were filming it, he wasn't like stuck there. Like he could get up. He was just on his knees in the background.
Cool.
Okay.
And then obviously the Drew Barrymore one is a full on recreation of her. It's not really Drew Barrymore.
Right.
And then the only other one that I found like really interesting was so everything from the like stabbing perspective was obviously like collapsible blades.
Right.
And the umbrella that Sydney uses in the scene when she comes out of the closet, the tip was a collapsible tip, and it was like someone who was a stunt double for her. But they had Skeet Ulrich wear a protective vest for obviously safety
Mhm.
reasons, and the when she like stabs him and he like is showing pain, that's like actual pain because the second thrust missed the vest and actually stabbed him in the chest on
Oh.
a wound from an open heart surgery operation.
Oh shit.
Jesus.
So that's like real
Christ.
pain that he was feeling.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Skeet?
So those are
Have
some
to
of the, I know,
reopen.
right? Skeet didn't. Well, Skeet deserved his character deserved that, but he didn't
Character,
deserve
not
it.
Skeet.
My favorite thing about the final scene is the fact that the Halloween music is playing throughout. I loved that.
Oh,
I loved it.
I haven't noticed
Well,
that.
so like because they're watching Halloween at the party, and as things like progress,
Jamie Kennedy's like wasted and just no, and it's like it's hard to, because when you're a kid watching this, it's like, oh yeah, these are teenagers, but now that we're adults, it's like these are grown adults.
Yeah.
grown ass adults.
trying to act like 16
This
year olds.
is One Tree Hill because One Tree Hill
16-year-olds
was
who
that
have
way.
the most lit parties. Like I swear, I don't even know that many people.
Rich dude, it's all privilege. All these kids live on like these big ass
Yeah.
houses with like acres of land.
That's true.
Several
It's
stories.
out in the middle of nowhere, which is horrifying.
Yeah,
And
where
I
you
lived
gonna
in the
go?
middle of nowhere.
But hey, that view worth dying for. Ayo.
Ayo, ayo.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. What? I don't know anything else because I don't have any other notes. I don't
The
have any
only
trivia
other
notes.
the only other thing is this movie actually was very controversial. It
Mhm.
influenced some real life crime.
Oh.
So there is a couple situations where there's one January 1998 16-year-old and a 16-year-old and a 15-year-old murdered one of their moms, and it became known as a scream murder because they confessed to needing they said, what did they say? Yeah. They claimed that the murder was inspired by Scream, and they confessed to needing the money acquired from Gina's murder, the woman, to fund a killing spree, which would include purchasing 2 Ghostface costumes.
Jeez.
Yeah, so like, you know, people be
You know.
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, The Dark
Yeah.
Knight inspired.
Oh yeah,
murder. So
it's one of those things, man. Like, some people latch onto stuff, and it's like, yeah, it's not like we're not gonna like people aren't gonna not create like these darker films for the out of concern for that happening, but it's just like crazy to think that there are people out there that can watch these things and be inspired.
yeah,
And be like, oh yeah, sounds fun.
But then you flip it and you take people who see these real life crimes and are able to create characters inspired by them. So it's like a two-way kind of thing.
yeah, but yeah.
But murder is bad.
Yeah, I was gonna
Art
say.
imitates life and vice
I
versa.
think I'd rather people not be murdered than have a
Yeah,
cool
same.
new character.
Yeah. Oh, same.
Controversial opinion there, Alex.
Yeah, how dare you?
All right. Well, just to wrap it up, how would y'all rate this film? Like, what would you give it out of 10? Yeah.
I mean,
We'll start with you, Jess.
I'm gonna go with, because it does have its like, every movie has its flaws,
Mm-hmm.
but I will say for what it did and what it has continued to do, it had a bunch of sequels and also had a TV series, and they're making another one. I'm gonna give it 8.5.
Awesome.
Alex, what about you?
I would pretty close. Yeah, I would do an 8 out of 8 screams out of 10. Because yeah, same thing. It's just like some things like not really, I don't want to say don't hold up. That's not really what I'm thinking about, but it's something like that. Like it's just it did a really good job at what it was trying to do. It was still
Mhm.
like some parts were like campy, and I know like that was the whole point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't say it was perfect. There were some things that
Oh, yeah.
were was like, that probably was a little weird or something.
We didn't need that. That wasn't.
Yeah,
Not
I don't know. But yeah, 8 out of 10. That's like I would still highly recommend it for people that love horror and just
Oh
love
yeah,
like
I
just
think it's
like a
something you
fun
have to
movie.
watch if you're a horror fan. I think it should be included in that list of movies you watch.
Like Halloween and Friday 13th
Absolutely.
or something. Yeah, definitely. All right, Carter.
Well, it's hard for me because obviously for the time this was like the first major like meta like horror film, and now today in today's film world we're exposed to like all this
Mhm.
meta stuff, and it's kind of like reputation aside, just how I look at it as a movie, as what it is, trying to put my own feelings about meta stuff aside, I say like 6.5 woozy Matthew Lillards out of 10.
All right.
I'm getting a little
Yeah, I
woozy.
think it's a
I'm dying here, man. I think I'm
Weird.
dying
Best
here.
line. It's the best line.
I think it's very well made. I think all the actors did a good job. Just for me personally, this isn't one that I'm gonna like add to my collection. I don't think I'll like. I don't feel a need to like watch like for me to willingly just be like, oh, I'm gonna pop in Scream today.
Yeah.
But I will happily watch it. I will marathon all 4 with like a group of friends.
Okay.
Because they're wacky, they're fun.
They're
I
fun,
don't
they're a good
dislike the
time.
movies. Just I'm not
Yeah, you're not gonna
not my favorite.
you're not gonna
my
like come out
favorite
of it saying
movie.
like, oh, I wish I didn't watch that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
I've seen all like I watched all of these movies a bunch during like my early teen years and stuff like that. So I'm very familiar. With them, and I have a history with them myself. So just my feelings of them have just kind of changed throughout the years.
I feel that.
So
That's fair.
You
six,
grow.
6.5 woozy Lillards.
Have you seen the 4th Scream?
Oh yeah, a couple times.
I mean, the classic
My
line,
least
"I'm
favorite
the
one.
original bitch." That's all. That's all I have to say.
Who says that?
Emma
Nev Campbell says that.
Nev Campbell does.
Oh, wait, okay, never mind.
Taking down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause
Yeah.
yeah, the 4th one,
I've only seen the
fourth one.
first
The
one.
fourth one's the fourth
A
one.
different conversation for a different day. But
yeah.
that line I remember
But-
being hyped about.
Sweet.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That was Scream, everybody.
Yeah.
Jess, thank you very much for being on the show. Do you have anything you want to plug?
Obviously plugging In Pursuit of Nothing. Everyone should go check out all of our awesome stuff we're making. If you want to follow me, you can. My name's Jess_Marie74 on the Instagrams, and I'm Fleetwood Snack with 2 C's. Fleetwood Snack 1 on Twitter.
Oh my! Wait, your Fleetwood snack on Wait, on where? Sorry, I'm
Twitter.
just cut you off. But like, I thought you said you had 2 names, but like Fleetwood Snack is such a good name. Sorry, I just wanted to say that.
I know, because I don't take Twitter like super seriously. Like my Twitter picture is like the little mini Buzz from the Toy Story
I followed
short.
you just now.
Wait,
Okay, well-
yeah, I'm gonna do that too. Sorry.
And then yeah, if you follow me if you want to see a lot of Disney stuff, because I'm a big Disney fan.
Yeah. we know.
Hey,
Okay,
don't-
I'm just joking.
the fans don't know.
I
The
know.
fans don't know. But yeah, thanks for having me. I was excited to talk about this. I was having a hard time deciding, but it was just one of those things where I'm like, I'm gonna regret not talking about Scream, because I will
Yeah.
never not talk about Scream.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you being on and choosing this movie because I finally got around to watching the full thing, and I'm really grateful that I did.
I'm grateful that you
We've
did.
had a lot of good movies on. I think I'm trying to find a shitty
Yeah,
movie
we
to
need to
choose
have
for
somebody with
next
a shitty
one, so
movie on. I really want to talk about a bad movie.
Let's talk about
bad.
Trolls.
I'll provide and Trolls too.
Trolls and Trolls too. Let's talk about the whole saga itself.
Wait, isn't it just? Oh yeah, never mind. I forgot Trolls 2 there was an actual Trolls. I thought
Trolls World Tour. I don't know, whatever the. sing.
Oh my god.
Never mind.
I thought we were talking about the old Trolls.
Oh no, I'm talking about
movies.
like the cartoon.
I was talking about
Oh, no.
Trolls
Oh, I
2.
thought you were- Oh yeah, I thought you were talking about You Can't Piss on Hospitality. I won't allow it.
Different trolls. But I'll talk about those trolls as well.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah, I
do
thought-
that.
We'll do that.
All
All right.
right.
Well, thank you again, Jess and
You're welcome.
Carter.
Oh, I thought you were gonna plug.
Oh
your
yeah.
stuff
Well, I
out.
was gonna say if you wanted to plug it, plug your stuff.
Here, you plug your stuff, then I'll plug my stuff, and then I'll do the
Okay.
outro.
Let's keep this in though.
Everyone needs to know.
Oh yeah, plug Alex Pacias at all the social medias. You can follow me or don't. I don't care. It's your life.
And I'm Carter WBT on Instagram, and I did in fact switch back to private today, so don't get your hopes up.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you again, Jess, for being here, and to all you listeners out there, thank you so much for tuning in every week and supporting us. Tune in next week. Well, you will hear me eat an entire bowl of melted M&Ms.
We'll talk about that, but yeah, okay.